Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Drew Wild. Today we are talking about the breakfast shift, more specifically, the dark side of the breakfast shift. So recently I did a video when it comes to breakfast shifts, and yes, my personal favorite shifts when it comes to Doordash, UberEats, and GrubHub. But I would be lying and completely disingenuous if I said there was not a dark side to breakfast orders. In order for me to help you better understand the breakfast shift, I'm going to go over all of the challenges that come with doing the breakfast shift and accepting breakfast orders. That's a terrible order. Just like that. But before we do any of that, let's do some disclaimers. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be, business, financial, tax, health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult with qualified professionals before you apply anything you find online. Also, not everything I'm going to say is going to apply to every market. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, use your own discernment. And that said, let's talk about some of the challenges that come with doing the breakfast shift. Cranky and stupid customers. If you think customers can be a challenge right now, try handling them before they have their morning coffee or anything to eat during the day. They just woke up. They're either at work or getting ready for work, and you need to be ready to deal with them. It's even worse if you happen to be cranky yourself and you haven't had anything to eat or drink yet. Like, your entire focus is totally dead now. Let's be honest, no one makes good decisions or thinks straight when they're hungry and tired. Well, at least most people anyways. I did an order the other day where I picked up from First Watch for a woman. I get to her apartment building. There's no info or instructions on how to actually get into the building, and there's no apartment number. So I have to call her in order for her to come out. Called her 12 times, messaged her 4 times, and the 8-minute timer ran out. As soon as the timer runs out, she immediately calls me back and says she was in the shower and thought the food was going to be here by 11 a.m. the latest. By the way, it's 10:55, and I've been there for almost 10 minutes now out of courtesy. She then proceeds to tell me I am a terrible person, tip bait me, and curse me out because clearly her being in the shower was my fault. Thank you for Uber Eats for allowing such poor behavior on your platform. Then I did what any sensible millennial would do and make a TikTok about it. Less merchants, less control of orders. So as you can imagine, a lot of merchants choose not to open in the afternoon because they just don't offer breakfast in their restaurant. Now, logically that makes sense, and also logically this should make it easier for you, right? Us as gig workers, this should be easier for us to actually develop some kind of hotspot. Oh, now all of the breakfast orders are going to be here, so it's going to be easier for us, right? Well, not all of the breakfast areas are near each other. In fact, in my area, there's like a couple places over here that are pretty good. A couple fast food restaurants, which you know how fast food restaurants can be. And then every one of them are kind of just like sprinkled out throughout the zone. All of them are pretty spread apart when it comes to being an area for breakfast. It's strange because for lunch and dinner, the mindset is to go where other people are going to shop or eat and set up shop there. Because at that point, you can actually make a butt ton of money because you got a lot of walk-in traffic, a lot of convenience, and then you got delivery traffic, which is just gonna blow up the entire restaurant. But for breakfast, it is more likely that they're pretty far apart from each other, and in most cases, other options like fast food or some kind of franchise are gonna be closer to you than like a deli or something to that effect. Now, this is not necessarily bad either, because some of those franchises have earned the trust of customers, which means we should get more orders from them, right? Like Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's, because they treat us like humans, right? The only thing I could tell you is to be open to being surprised by some of these people. The other day, I just had a McDonald's order, and I took it from GrubHub, and GrubHub is kind of known for their ridiculous wait time. So for the first time, I ended up taking a GrubHub order at McDonald's. The customer was all right. But what ended up happening was the McDonald's person actually treated me like a human being. It was actually scary. I didn't know how to react to it. Maybe that says a lot about me because it's been that long since I was treated like a human in a McDonald's, but I was just like, oh my God. It threw me off for the rest of the day. Overpowering packed merchants. Breakfast places are one of those types of restaurants where you find a good one and literally everyone will know about it. Whether it's a franchise, a local deli, a bagel place, you know, because there's barely any standing room, and wait times rival even that of fancy restaurants. Now, this isn't to say that every merchant or restaurant is gonna have that problem, because some of them are on it. Remember, I was living in North Wantagh. That is on Long Island, for those of you who don't know. And there's this one place, the Long Island Bagel Cafe. And there was a line literally out the door and cornering the building. But that was one of the fastest moving lines I've ever had. The place, by the way, had a lot of standing room already, but it literally curved around the entirety of the inside, went outside the door, cornered the building, went down the corner of the building. I pretty much got through it in like 10 minutes. No hour-long wait times, no stressing over getting the order right. They had one guy take the order, make the order, and take the payment for the order. That guy was pretty much assigned to you. And then you would finish your order, and then move on to the next person. And they had like an army of those people. Imagine a full staff doing that same thing across the board. Not to mention their food was top notch. And I miss New York bagels, man. You just don't get food in Florida like you do in New York. More understaffed merchants. Like I said, some merchants are absolutely on it, while some are not so much. Most places are just not run that way anymore. You are thankful for those who actually decided to show up. Anyone with some economic sense would want to do gig work instead of food service industry for less than minimum wage anyway. To be worked like an animal and no opportunity to move forward in life, why wouldn't you want to just ditch that for gig work? The only people they have left are the potheads, lazy butts, and all the people who'd rather just gossip and whine rather than just getting the job done. And not to mention the ditzies. Oh my god, the ditzies. Hey, this order is missing a drink. Can you check on it? Of course. Let me go in the back and I'll check on it for you, hon. Never see her again. Gets distracted by literally everything. Have to ask someone else because, oops, I forgot. This one on a bit of a tangent, but I think the point stands that with employees making economic shifts, with the changing times and wage challenges, merchants need more hands on deck, and some of them just don't have that. Increased risk of spillage. In the morning, people order things that will make them energized during that day. What are those things? Coffee, which means more chances for a coffee cup tops to not be put on properly, and more chances for your seats to get messed up. Now, sometimes there are little spills, and that don't mean much, but some can severely damage the seat of your car beyond repair. Doing that also reduces the resale value of your car. Now, a lot of us are driving our cars into the ground, so this doesn't mean much as a full-time dasher, but to a part-timer, this can be a bit of a problem, especially since they're not really looking to put as many miles as us who are doing this full-time. Now, there are things that can combat this. In fact, I made a video talking about this subject, and a dasher revealed how he was able to do it and be able to combat it on his end. So I will leave that video in the description. Crappy retail orders. Some retail orders are funny because they all come in at the same time during the same hour. Walmart, Petco, other retailers that I just can't think of off the top of my head. In fact, during the making of this video, Walmart sent me 5 orders in a row. I understand that it's really efficient to have it this way because it gives you some sense of organization. But like every other order type, some of them are just really bad because they still have the inherent problem of customer dependency. If the customer chooses not to tip, it is irresponsible for us to accept the order. This is an issue because in some cases, they don't even realize that they are getting a Doordash driver and delivering their order. Or this is just not the type of order they tip for. Let's be honest about that. More fast food orders. Sometimes the best breakfast spot is just simply fast food. That means you're going to get more fast food orders. McDonald's, Burger King, Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sure there are others, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. Again, more fast food orders means less tips. Not to mention a lot of these fast food places are like on people's blacklist. Like, they are not going to take those orders at all, but you are going to receive those orders. So that's something to consider. But again, be open to being surprised. I was by that one order in GrubHub. So just keep that in mind. Must have morning hotspots. There are hotspots that are great for lunch and dinner time, and you should definitely find your own. However, you should also find one that is good for breakfast. Let's be honest, in a lot of cases, those restaurants just aren't open yet. This can be very difficult in some areas since some of them are so spread apart. There is no getting in good range of all of them. Now, there is a point to be made that it'll be easier to predict some of them, but you're not making a hotspot with a bunch of restaurants. You're making a hotspot with the one restaurant. Like over here by me, you get a lot of first watch. I'm very thankful that there also happens to be a Dunkin' Donuts nearby, but I fully understand that there is a very little chance that I'm going to get good orders outside of that first watch. Morning hotspots are basically one restaurant doing pretty well. Opportunity cost. I talk about this a fair amount of times, but one of the challenges of committing your time to Doordash, UberEats, or GrubHub is that the time you commit to it is also the time you are not committing to something else, which could very well be your exit strategy. And a lot of people take the mornings and the awkward 2 to 5 shift and sometimes even the late evenings to focus on whatever business they're trying to build. Now, there is the point of, oh, I could just be online and wait at home, which is true for some, but not for others. Make sure that taking breakfast orders isn't taking away from your opportunities that you want to commit to later. The gig economy is a income bridge to what would be a long-term goal, but it's never the goal. It can be harder to build momentum. I talked about this in another video about priority on DoorDash. So if you haven't seen it, I will link to it in the description. The concept in short is very simple. The more orders you take, the more orders you will receive. If you keep taking orders, you will keep getting more orders. However, if you decline orders all the time, then that destroys your momentum. And with the amount of crappy orders that you can see in the morning, that can be pretty tough. Just keep that in mind if your market does not support breakfast orders. Now, I do want to say one other thing before I wrap this up. There are a lot of people that swear by the concept of taking morning orders, me being one of them. There are a lot of benefits to taking them, and honestly, it makes a huge difference to what I accomplished during the day. I made a video talking about the benefits of the breakfast shift as well, so make sure you check that out. Let me ask you, did I miss anything? Comment that below. Let's make sure that Dashers are completely ready for what happens out there on the road during the breakfast shift. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.